Good evening, everybody. Um, Welcome to my live video here on tonight, which I did promise you guys in my last video on Friday. So, welcome Facebook, welcome YouTube, and this will eventually later go ahead and get on to Instagram. Oh, okay, we got a little distraction here. Sorry about that. um, my name is Latrell Allen, of course, as you can see here on the screen. And for many of you who uh, may not know me, I'm an actor, a director, a producer, a speaker, and also an author. And, I mention that a lot in my videos that I've been posting pretty much, every Friday. Friday mornings or during our Friday morning chat. So I will ask that you bear with me on tonight. This is my first time doing a live for a lengthy period of time, which I shouldn't be because I know how to talk. I can talk. So like I said, I'm an actor, a director, producer, speaker, and an author. And pretty much what I do is that I inspire the future generation to find their true identity. Okay. Of course, as many of you may know, living in a world that we live in where that is an extremely difficult task to navigate. Okay. And one of the worst things you could ever be or feel is lost in a world that's it's like being in a huge fish tank or in an ocean or river, and you don't know who you are, where you're trying to get to, right? So that can be a daunting, hurting feeling. So for me, through my own journey, I realized that is pretty much my purpose. So before we get into it on tonight, I really just want to let you guys know that because this was all pretty a recent decision for me to make, I will be using some index cards. So bear with me as we take this journey for the next 25 minutes or so. So if you see me kind of, messing around with cards, that or shuffling, that's the reason why. So, and also one more thing. How can I say this? Well, I'll go into it. So the reason the impetus for me doing this live was me seeing someone else do it. And of course, a lot of people do it now, but I was extremely motivated by just seeing so many things that they were, just really doing, and just the idea of putting one together. And so after that decision took place, I had a moment or some time after that where I had to have a self-check, if you will. And I realized that as great of an opportunity and experience as this is and can be, this isn't really necessarily the right time for me to do something like this. But since I did promise you guys in the video from Friday that I will be going live and doing this live, that I wanted to keep my word. I wanted to keep my integrity about what I shared with you guys and what I said. Okay. So tonight will be the only night that I will be doing this, unfortunately. But I will say that when the time is right for me to come back around and do these live podcasts, I will be extremely excited to take you guys on that journey with me, with so many ideas and things that I have in my head to want to do this. So that being said, we are going to go ahead and get into tonight's topic. Okay. So as you can see the title here, I believe you should see it. It says, "Who are you?" Okay. Who are you. As I stated a moment ago, we we live in a world that tells us who we are and or who they think we are, right? Um, and that ranges from everybody, family members, friends, colleagues, work associates, classmates, uh, teachers, clergy, um, whatever your environment is, okay, wherever your five senses, okay, are exposed to other people's opinions about who they think you are or how they think you should live, okay, from TV, commercial ads, films and TV shows. Everybody has their idea of what they think you should be, who they think you are, and how they think you should operate and navigate in this world. And it's our job as individuals to get to the bottom of who we really are. Give me one moment. I forgot about something here. Oh, no. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Um, so yeah, it's our job as our own selves to get to the bottom of who we are. It is not our job. It is not our duty. It's not the world's duty. Rather, it's not society's duty to determine that, because if that's the case, then they have power over us. They have control over us. And we know how that works in many circles, many sectors. We know how that works. A great a great personal friend of mine, a coach, a business coach, actually, as a matter of fact, shared something with me on a call last night. He said that no, and this was very deep for me when he said it, but it was factual. He said that no one will let you live. Don't ask for permission to live. I'm going to say that again. He said that no one will let you live. Don't ask for permission to live. So, in other words, he was basically stating that we have to take control of our own destinies. But in order for us to take control of our own destinies, we have to know who we are. If we don't know who we are, where we come from, who we belong to, then society will continue to devalue, put their value on us, and say, this is how you should live. This is what you should do. This is how much you're worth. Well, did society make you? Did society create you? Last time I checked, they didn't. That's not where I came from. We were born into this world, but and this may be a little on the spiritual side, but that's just me. That comes with the package, with who I am. But it says that we were born into this world, but we are not of it. So being in something and being of it are two separate things, right? I can be, as you say, for example, if I'm hanging out with some friends of mine and we go to the club, I'm in the club, but what's taking place in the club that might not be to my liking is if I took part in what was going on in the club that's not to my liking or that does not resonate with who I am then becoming, I am being of it, right? So there's a difference in those two things. And one of the things that is extremely difficult about this topic of who you are is the journey, right? The journey that it takes to really getting to the core and the crux of who we are, right? And again, I'm not talking about the surface stuff, the things that you like, the food, the clothes, the types of cars, the type of person that you like, none of that. I'm talking about who you are in your core, internally, your spirit being, um, the uh, who you are as, yeah, who you are in your core, the things that you value, your morals, your principles, your values, the things that you stand for, the things that are important to you. Okay. Um, I heard something from a pastor uh, long time ago, and as a matter of fact, I was actually looking for the quote to make sure I said it right on tonight. But it was something a tad bit different, so I'm going to put my spin on it. And and for me, it's basically talking about, the most powerful person in the world. And for me, my belief, based on what he said, is that one of the most powerful people in the world is someone who knows who they are, right? If you know who you are, then nobody can dictate how you live. Nobody can tell you how much you're worth. Nobody can tell you your value. Nobody can, yeah, nobody can tell you better than you. Nobody can control you. In other words, whatever that looks like for you, right? So, um, it's a tough journey, but one that's worth taking nonetheless. And I'll, just kind of share a little bit why that is. So for me, I just wanted to briefly share with you when my journey started, when it took place. I have a very good friend, one of my good dear friends. I've known her for a little over 10 years. I met her, a little over 10 years. And we're both in the entertainment industry. She's more of like a director, I think a writer, producer, and some other things. And sometime shortly after, we got to know each other, and we really started to just discover a lot of similarities and things about ourselves. She shared with me something that was extremely important, and she got it from someone else in the business, someone very, I don't want to use the word, not well powerful, but well respected. And she told me, she said, Latrell, she said, before you get into this business, know who you are. Know who you are before you get into this business. Now, everybody knows uh, everything that there is to know about the entertainment business, performing arts, however you want to define it. And the key to that, and with any industry, is if you don't know who you are, it will chew you up and spit you out. As a matter of fact, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'll share it anyway. When I was living in Atlanta and I was auditing an acting class a couple of times, I had a conversation with the teacher after the class was over. And she literally said to me, because I think I mentioned something about wanting to go to LA. I don't know how recent it was down the road that I wanted to go, but I may have just said I wanted to go to LA or just here in New York, whatever the case may be. And she basically was sharing with me that where I was at that point in my life, I wasn't ready. And she said that she said if you were to go out there at this specific time in your life, she said that they will chew you up and spit you out. And so when she said that, I was thinking to myself, like, wow, that it was so much to no pun intended, but there was a lot to chew on in that moment, you know, because of what she said. It was a very hard pill to swallow because I thought that where I was at that point in my life, to me, I thought I was ready, right? So back to the original statement. So after my friend shared that with me, it was so odd to me, or interesting rather, how all of a sudden after she shared that, this series of signs, if you will, started to come within like 3 to 4 days or like a week's time. I kept hearing the same thing over and over again. It came from like 3 different people, 3 different sources. And because I know how God speaks to me consecutively in that way, I knew in that moment that there was a shift coming for me, that there was a shift getting ready to take place that I needed to be ready for. I mean, you can't ever be really ready for taking a soul searching journey. Okay, if you will, you just kind of have to ride the wave and see where it takes you, see what you discover about yourself, so on and so forth. So when that journey started for me, I moved to Atlanta, and ironically enough, that was one of my reasons that I moved there. And of course, the 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 fact that because Atlanta is also known for being the Hollywood of the South, so many opportunities as an actor, of course, and me trying to figure out who I was, or at the time. And so I said, that was a pretty good reason for me. Those were some good reasons for me to go. I was 25 at the time. So that's a pretty good prime time in your life to explore and figure out who you are, and discover yourself in this life, to figure out, those things. And Atlanta taught me a lot. Atlanta taught me about who I thought I was and wanted in relationships. Okay, I'm going to be a little transparent, not too much, but one of the things that it did teach me, or the people that taught me much, I learned that I was still this insecure little girl, this younger girl, who was, rejected a lot of times, and didn't feel, hey, hey, Moira. Um, and it left me in this state of, yeah, I was thirsty. And not, yeah, I guess you can't really define that in a good way or a bad way, but in the sense of anybody who showed any form of interest to me or with me, I, I gravitated to them, and in me being in that space, it taught me a lot. It taught me that I wasn't ready for what I thought I wanted, even business opportunities or acting opportunities. ironically, I didn't even wind up doing too much with acting when I was living there. So that went out the window because it was 9 times out of 10 it was a lot of struggle. Um, and I hope that you guys are kind of following along. I promise you, we're going somewhere with this. But my journey of being in Atlanta, I with the people that I formed friendships with, relationships, all of these things along the way. Apart the first few years in that decade, it it taught me some things. It showed me some things that were not pretty. Um, and that's a part of the journey. It's messy. It's it's a beautiful mess. That sounds like a very odd. It's a conundrum, but it because we're human, so we are beautiful messes, right? The idea of being an imperfect being. I have a shirt that says I'm imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect. I can't. It's one of those one of those two. But I love it because perfect doesn't exist. And who nobody human beings aren't perfect. So the fact that there's always room to grow and become better is and the space that we are allowed to be messy while we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle back together is is a mess, but it's a mess that can be cleaned up one way or the other. So it taught me much about the insecure little girl who I once was, the the lack of confidence that I didn't have from things that I experienced in the past when I was younger, and I put that in my book. Shameless plug. Um, it taught me just a lot of what did I say here? Major just a lot of just a lot of major overhauling that needed to be done inside, right? And the thing that a lot of people don't like about discovering who they are the things that they have to uncover, right? Right now, perfect example. If we are aware what's going on and taking place right now in the world, from the people who are currently in leadership in every facet, okay, not just governmental, but in every facet, in every industry, we see the sheets being pulled back, if you will, things being uncovered, secrets being uncovered and revealed. And that does not feel good when your secrets and the things that you've kept underneath the rug to band-aid whatever hurt, pain, all of that. Because you can't live a full whole life. You can't be fully yourself if you don't do, as they say, open heart surgery. And that doesn't always last long, mind you. That's a temporary thing. Surgery doesn't is not forever. It's one time you're in, you're out, however long it lasts, and then you go through the healing process. And so when you put band-aids on top of band-aids on top of band-aids, the scar is still there. The things that we experience in life, the people that we think we are, the other stuff that people have placed on us to say, oh, this is who you are, and that's who you are. And then when we're faced with this, whatever life throws our way that says, not quite. They challenge, when life challenges you to say, let's really take a real good close look at who you are. right? That's it's it's never pretty. So what? Right? So who cares? As actors, that's one of the things that we are taught in class all the time on stage. The people's stories that we are telling, the characters that we're telling, they're messy. That's human beings. And we have to learn how to love our imperfections. But that's a part of our truth. That's a part of who we really are. Okay. So um let me see. Bear with me. So let me see. Okay, yeah. So, I learned a lot about what worked for me, what didn't work for me. And again, that's part of the process. We learn things. I think I've heard it said before, and it's true. In order to know who you are, or to become who you really are, or to learn who you really are, you have to know. Okay, let me rephrase that. So in order to know who you really are, you have to know who you're not. And I remember learning that lesson. It's kind of like, if I can use the phrase, reverse engineering, right? It's kind of like seeing the end in mind. It's like, that there are certain things inside of you and your spirit that don't resonate with you, that don't quite feel 100% right or comfortable. And then it helps you to get closer to understanding, okay, this is who I am. This works for me. This is a little bit more comfortable, stable. I'm grounded here, right? So a part of that process is knowing who you are not. Okay. So I learned, again, like I said, things that worked and things that didn't. It taught me a lot of things that I thought were gone. And this is not just with ATL anymore. This is in addition to the 2.5, 3 years that I was there. So this is the continuation of this decade. That taught me a lot. It taught me things that I thought were healed or fixed or I overcame, until certain situations came back around, and I said, oh wow, like, that's not quite as gone as I thought it was. That's still there. And an interesting point to that, because life is so much like a school. It's the biggest university that ever exists. It will not let you graduate to the next level, to wherever it is that you're trying to go to or grow to, until you have learned the lessons from the past. It won't. It's like being in school. If you have a good teacher, they will not let you move forward until you have learned the lesson and passed the test and understand it, in order for you to move forward. Because if you don't, you're going to be like that fish in this ocean, and you don't know who you are, where you're going, how you're trying to navigate it. You're going to be lost. And so, and again, like I said earlier, there's no worse feeling than being lost. And a lot of us are like that in the world today. But life will teach you that. And it'll show up in many ways. It will show up in different people. It will show up on different jobs, wherever you hop to, wherever you go to, because it's that thing on the inside of you that you haven't yet learned in order to move forward. So you have to learn the lessons from before in order to go forward, in order to graduate to the next level, in order to move towards becoming who you really truly are. Okay. So that's that lesson. And So let me make sure. Okay, I got those. Again, for those of you who are checking in, like I said, because this was very recent, I am referencing some notes here. So, um, as I continue before I close it out, I'm talking about the process of knowing who you are. Okay. Um, and just a couple of things, just the process. One of the things that you can do is figuring out who you are not. Okay. That's a way to help you move forward in that direction, to understand, okay, who you are based on who you are not. One of the things that I do often is I reflect, I journal. Uh, that's a part of becoming self-aware. That is a huge, huge component to understanding who you are, is self-awareness, because you understand your flaws and your strengths, your weaknesses and your strengths. And when you are aware of both of those things, you know how to navigate. You at least have a good idea of how to navigate each season that you're in, each situation, each moment, each experience that you are faced with. Okay. And you say, okay, because I know who I am in this season, in this moment in my life, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, or I need help with this, I need improvement on that. And whatever the world sends you, you'll know when it's time to improve on something, or when you're working on your strengths. Another thing, like I said earlier, because the process doesn't always feel good, it's a band-aid that has to be pulled back in order for you to do the open heart surgery. But it's temporary. It's temporary. And you would rather, I'll say this, but I'll save it for last. So hopefully I remember to piggyback around. Well, I will. Because it's really good. So those are just a few things that you want to consider. And get there's there's therapy. We talk about that a lot. Whatever. And I'm not a psychologist or nothing of that nature, so I'm not claiming to know all of the answers. I'm just sharing with you guys my process, my journey, how I've gotten to where I am, and just sharing thoughts and ideas of how it can hopefully, help you get to understanding who you are. Okay. So as we continue moving forward, before I close again, there was one of my favorite pastors. I was listening to him during his New Year's Eve message, and he asked us, or challenged us rather, to ask ourselves 4 questions. Okay, 4 questions that his father-in-law challenged him about the previous decade. And really quickly, the reason that he mentioned those questions was because he said, in order for us to move forward into this new decade and whatever is coming, whatever we are going to be faced with, we have to have a sense of understanding and a knowing about what took place for us in the last decade. Okay, so here are the 4 questions, and you can write these down if you want to, just to kind of reference them for yourself. But the first question it says, what did I lose? Okay, and I don't mind sharing my answers with you guys. So it says, in the last decade, what did I lose? And for me, I wrote who I thought I was. Okay, who I thought I was. Number 2, what did I gain? A real relationship with God. Okay, the knowledge and the wisdom of the real me, the discovery of me. Now, that's an ongoing process, by the way. So that's never ending. But the infancy stage, if you will, of me getting to that point was where that all started. Okay. What did I learn? This is number 3. I learned that there are habits that aren't mine that I needed to shed to fully become who God made me to be. I need to build better habits. It takes time and patience and gentleness with myself to undo those things that aren't mine, not to beat myself up in this process. Before I move on to the last one, uh, to reference the statement about being gentle with myself and undoing the things that aren't mine, I want you to think about that in the sense of putting on someone else's things, right? So, referencing the topic, living in the world that we live in, when, like I stated at the very beginning, we live in a world where people place their stuff on us, their opinions, their beliefs, their blah, 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 whatever, the values, whatever on us. I don't know why people project their stuff onto us. I don't understand that. But anywho, it's like putting on someone else's coats, their clothes, their this, their that. And I remember one of the acting classes that I took in Atlanta when I first got there. This guy, great teacher, helped me understand it. Is as actors, we have to start off with a blank, clean slate, like a blank canvas, if you will. And because tell, we can't we can't tell our characters' stories from a place of authenticity if we're coming in with so much other baggage, right? We can't do our jobs with life here and life there, and mama stuff here, daddy stuff there, got into an argument with somebody over here, this over. We can't. And so when we're going through this journey of figuring out who we are, again, a part of this understanding who we're not is like taking off somebody else's stuff, taking off mama stuff, daddy stuff, aunts and uncles and cousins and teachers and classmates, everybody's stuff that they just dump on you for whatever reason. It's like, it's not my responsibility to take on your stuff, right? It's like, what are you doing? And so it's our job to, I'll use it anyway, derobe, if you will, other people's stuff so that we can see us, so we can find us. It's like, getting lost underneath a pair of coats, if you will, or like a needle in a haystack. We got to dig through all that stuff to find who you are, right? So that's an analogy I just wanted to point out. When you go through that process, it's like it's peeling back those layers, okay? And then number 4, he asked us what was our theme of the last decade. And it was interesting for me that this was so immediate because I knew it right off the bat. And for me, I said it was identity. It was identity. Now, if you were here at the very beginning, and you can go back and watch this live, but I mentioned that a part of my purpose is helping or inspiring the youth, the future generation, to discover their true identity, right? And for me, my own soul searching journey, one of my themes, or my main theme within this last decade, has been to discover my own. Because if you don't know who you are, the world will continue to tell you who you are. They will continue to devalue you because they don't see you the way God sees you. They don't see you the way your maker, your creator made you. Right? So, in closing, and I do remember what I was going to say prior to the end. I want to make sure I actually say this right. Let me reference it for a moment. Bear with me, guys. Oh, okay. I think I know what it was. Um, so basically the thought that was, and this is before I actually close, um, was that even though as temporarily painful as the process can be, and I'm not saying that to scare you, but to help you to be aware of what to expect if you choose to take that path, if you choose to live that life. I mean, not live that life, but take that soul searching journey. Is I want you to ask yourself a question that I was faced with when I was an undergrad. And the question was, what if? What would your life look like if you don't do X, Y, and Z? But you see your classmates. I'll actually say the question. What would your life look like, Latrell, if you see your classmates' names on the screen except for yours? What would your life look like? How would you feel? How would you feel if you continue to walk around on this earth in a lost state, frustrated, trying to figure it out, not knowing or not willing to go through the process, whether you know it or don't know it? Um, but it's a necessary process. So what I would recommend you do is to choose life, uh, in the sense of living, because most of us we just exist, right? We exist. Uh, and a great speaker, actually, as a matter of fact, another pastor said it years ago before he passed away. He said the wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard, because so many people take what was in them to the grave. And 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure that the reason why they took those things with them was because they lived lives, they existed in a world that told them who they were going to be, how they were supposed to live. And they never took the time to, in discovering their dreams, their purposes, they never figured out who they were. Because if they did, they would have left this world empty. And by that, I mean, they would have left giving the world everything that was given to them to give to us, with their gifts and all of those things. So I want to advise you to not, well, you make your own choices. I just like to be careful with my words in the sense of saying what I want versus what I don't want. I would encourage you to avoid living a life of regret. And to go through that process, understanding and knowing who you are, knowing the gifts that you've been given, the dreams that you want to fulfill and achieve. It's all a part of that process. So to close, for real. Now, I want to challenge you guys, okay? Because you owe it to yourselves to live. You owe it to yourselves, to your families, your future, your legacy, whatever that success looks like to you, to take your own journey, okay, of really, really, truly knowing who you are, okay? And like I said, the journey is not 100% comfortable, but it's temporary. But change doesn't always feel good. But like I said, it's temporary. Growing pains, that's what we call it. And so you want to avoid living in that space of wondering, what would my life look like? What would it look like if I made that choice? What would it look like if I didn't go this route? Or if I did go this route instead? Or if I took this job, or if I moved here? I think I referenced this topic I think either in the last video or 2 videos ago, but it's there. And to close it out, I want you guys to ask yourselves, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? We've lost so many people this year, and I'm not just, in addition to people who have lost lives, but we've lost great people, from Kobe Bryant to Chadwick Boseman recently. I see the man's face. Connor. I think that's his last name. Forgive me, but you guys, I think he was the original James Bond. Let me find his name because I do not want to mess it up. Well, you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his first name. I'm not gonna do all of that. But anyway, when we lost those people, and amongst other greats this year, it makes me continue to ask myself the things that I'm doing. How do I want to be remembered when I leave here? How do I want the world to remember what I did, who I was, and the impact that I had, the legacy that I left behind for my family, for my kids, grandkids, great grandkids, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll close with this, not to on a bad or lower energy note, but the same coach guy that I had the conversation with last night, he said something on the call that was very deep, but he used the phrase, a quiet desperation. Quiet desperation. And that's a space that, when he said it, I said, wow, that hurt, because to live in a space where you feel so stuck and you just can't, you want to scream, but you can't, or you want to be free to live. It's you owe that to yourself. You owe it to yourself to figure out who you are. Okay? You owe that to yourself to, you owe that to yourself, at least. Or if not for you, for the people that you really love around you. But you are worth it. You are worthy to find out what you have to accomplish in this world, what you have to give and what you have to contribute. Because you're more valuable than you think. You're more valuable than what society has always told you. You're worth more than that. So allow yourself the opportunity to just step out, baby steps, and say, who am I? Who am I really at my core? That when all else fails around you, when the world continues to shift and change and evolve and do all of these crazy things, those things at the core of who you are will allow you to continue to stand no matter what. Okay. So I was going to end with a couple of Q&As, but I don't really see anybody on there to ask any questions or what have you, but which is cool. You can definitely reach out to me here on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram. I am all over, at least on those for now. I'm on Twitter too. But anyway, I hope I said something. I shared some things, some valuable things with you guys. Yeah, I went longer than usual. Like I said, I can go. I can talk. So So, anywho, uh, I hope something resonated with you in your spirit about what I shared on this evening, on tonight. So I love you guys. Take care. Reach out to me if, about your process, about starting your process, considering your soul searching journey, and, just maybe where to start, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. So I love you guys. You have a great night. I love you too, Moira. And we'll continue doing our Friday video chats, our Friday morning fireside chats on this week. So what I have to bring to you guys will be very awesome. And I hope you enjoy it. And I will see you guys then. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great night.